good night and welcome to Just a Conversation. In the midst tonight, we have none other than Minister Mon, Brother Matthew, Minister Hayden, and we have none other than Laura. I'm joking. Pastor Laura is in the midst of us today.
Hello, whichever way you want to
The originator of
Try Jesus.
No, not Try Jesus. Open Forum.
Okay.
It's where they speak. They discuss stuff and they be open.
It's more like the birthing and the process that you go through.
No.
I felt like that was her ministry.
That was her ministry.
That's still her ministry. It's like
and
I haven't missed a Pastor Laura message that did not include the birthing process.
Really?
The birthing process is like first they started in the womb, and sometimes you travail and.
That's your Pastor Laura impression? I'm just
That's
asking.
all I'm like. I remember. So it's like I'm like the travailing.
You heard that preacher's voice? He had that snap coming behind it too.
Yeah. That's how it all began.
That's how it
right?
begins. Yeah, you got to start from somewhere. But yeah, don't forget to hop over to our YouTube page. That's a conversation. Don't forget to subscribe. Also coming in, don't forget to share this program out. So this week we're on Breaking Tradition Part 2. Last week we just talked about breaking tradition. This week, we're gonna extend it, a little bit more, and we're gonna get more deeper in it. We're gonna try to get to the root of why some of us, are the way we are, or why we struggle with what we struggle with. And Pastor Laura is gonna, give us some foundation, about tradition and, all about the matter of fact, one thing I love about this lady, is that she has a thing that she always says, and she always said, keep it real. And, I love when people keep it real because, it's not everyone wants to hear a Bible verse or hear a scripture or something like that. Yeah, sometimes people just want to hear, like, the truth, and they want to hear, like, what have you been through? What have you faced? What have you seen? What have you prevailed through? Yeah. Like you said, the birthing process. When a woman gives birth, she can explain to you, like, listen, like, it's going to come a point in time when you have to push, and that pushing is going to hurt. So they have new technology now, which is called what do you call that thing? For the ladies, they put it in their spine and they numb everything.
Oh, the epidural.
Epidural. So we're not gonna use
the old tradition.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. See, tradition. So we're gonna get into the old tradition way tonight. So, my thing is that my question is why were our generation before us, scared to teach us stuff the right way? Was it that you guys were afraid to, like, open our eyes to things to come, or you guys just wanted us to experience it on our own?
Well, I don't know about generation before. My generation, I spoke to my kids. I told them everything.
You kept it real?
Yes, I did.
So I got a question. All right, since you kept it real, did you tell your kid, like, well, you're not supposed to have sex before marriage, or you just told them the reason why they're not supposed to do it?
I told them the reason why.
Okay. Because a lot of us was brought up saying, listen, just don't do it.
That's the older generation. Okay. But I feel like I minister to the younger generation.
So I'm curious, what is the reason that, based on how you raise your kids?
What's the question?
All right, so let me rephrase. All right, so what I mean by that is, you said that you taught them the reason why. For those who are listening, because I just realized we got some younger viewers on here.
Yeah, well, I went into not just the sensual part of it, because everybody at a certain age start to have those kind of feelings and desires and want to play on them. I kind of let them know when you engage, know that you're not just engaging with the person you're looking at, you're engaging in their past. And you're engaging in some of the mistakes they made, or what is good or bad, things that happen. And so that you're ready for this, because this is not just opening up yourself to intimacy once. It's like opening up doors. You're going to have to deal with some things here.
One of the discussions we talked about last week was when Esau forsook his birthright. Right. And he didn't know until after the fact, that it
was worth anything.
And he wept for it real bitterly. So even if you were telling, the physical aspect and the sensual aspect, do you think people can put away the temporary desire or lust, or even what you're telling them in the physical, to pick up that sensual or that spiritual aspect that you're explaining?
Most of the times they said, "Thanks for the information, but we're gonna do it the way we want to do it." Right.
The Esau way.
Yeah, we're willing to make our mistakes. Thanks for the information. And my mother would hear and said, "That's one thing I tell you about Laura. She doesn't hide anything from the kids."
That's good.
And some would say,
No,
"No,
we shouldn't.
no, I don't think so, because I think things were hidden from me."
This is my belief. I believe, like, I should be like the one to actually sit and have a drink with my child. I believe, like, if my child wants to experience something like that, it should be with me as a parent. The same thing if the child want to, like, say for instance, venture out and smoking weed or something like that. That's just my belief. Like, instead of having your child going out there and experience with something else, then you get a phone call like, "Listen, X, Y, Z." At least they have that feeling and they're right to understand, like, man, this is how this feels. This is what it does to your brain cells. This is what it does to your judgment and everything. So. For them to experience it,
Or at least you know what your limit is.
Exactly. You don't think some minutes though, man?
You want to find out your limit, like, while you're on the road. You want to find out where you're safe.
Right.
I mean, I could understand how you feel and why you're saying that, but as far as if I indulge with someone doing wrong, how can I then therefore tell them not to do it, or that's not the path you go down? So even in indulging with someone that's doing wrong, I would make myself look like almost like a hypocrite. As how can I stop you now that I'm the one that did it with you? You see what I'm saying? So it'll kind of pose a problem if the, like you said, the reason, if I was saying like, "Hey, look, I'm gonna do this with you because of this fact and this fact," and but at the same time, now when it turns to me and say, "Stop, that's wrong. I was trying to tell you it was wrong," they're confused. Like, you did it with me.
But you have to explain everything from the beginning.
Yeah, but
and be rough.
Yeah.
To me, I believe like the older generation, they were like scared to show their weakness in front of us.
Yeah,
they're flaws.
They're flaws. They were scared to say, "Listen, like, I messed up." It's just like, say for instance, if somebody had a kid when they were young. They were scared to say, "Listen, I messed up. I had you when I was young." Instead of explaining to them what happened and say, "Listen, well, this is what happened. This is what came out of it. And show them like the down spiral, and show them the line towards it. Now, because I did this, I had to pretty much give up education, to work to provide for you and all this. Show them show them everything that you had to face to go through it.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying like, "Listen, like, just don't do it." And that to me is like, that's where we get caught up in tradition. Also, there's people that keep telling you like, "Just don't do it," but you're not telling me why not to do it. But if you explain to them in detail, like, "Listen, this is why you shouldn't do it. This is what's going to happen if you do it. And this is the outcome of it." And then they have a clear understanding, and then they can say, "Listen, well, I was warned."
Yeah.
Where they can look at you and say, "Listen, you never told me."
Yeah.
Or you never showed me. You never like guided me the right way. So never hear that. You remember it's a thing they always say in the island, say, if me didn't know, I would have never done it. That time it's too late.
That's a lie. It's a lot of people that know and they'll still do it, and you really can't excuse anyone for not knowing, because there was a reason why they did it. If you see something and you have a lust and desire to do it, no matter how wrong it is, or how wrong or even the consequence that comes after it, you just had that strong lust and desire to do it, so you did it.
But at least you're going informed, and this is the thing. And I had that discussion with my daughter, and a lot of the younger generation, they'd say, "Wow, we didn't know that. I never thought of things like that. I never see it that way." So I said, "Well, this is what it is." And then I would open up my story. Now, you know how transparent I can get. So I'll open up my story, because they're like, "I don't think so." Because, at one stage, my children, especially my son, would say, "Mom is paranoid." She's always saying, "Where'd she get these things from?" And I would say, "Hey, guys, listen. It's not paranoia. This is what happened. You saw this. You saw the manifestation this way, but you don't know the story behind it. And this is what happened." And then when I would show it to them, they would say, "What? No, Mom, not you, not you." I said, yes, me. And then they would say, "Wow." And now my daughter would say, "Wow, Mom, thank you, because you opened me up to some things that I never knew before." It doesn't mean that I'm not gonna try this or that. It's just that I appreciate you
Right.
telling me because Dad wouldn't tell me.
Right.
Dad has his mouth closed, but Mom, she would say, Mom, I appreciate you because you open up and you tell me everything.
I believe that we should, in order to break tradition or to break, stuff from that's okay. Like a lot of things that we hear a lot nowadays is like we're talking about like traditional curses or we're talking about like generational curses or the reason why a lot of us are the way we are. When you think about like you were talking about last week with David, when you're talking about somebody that's rejected, from your father, when your father that somebody's supposed to be the backbone of you, you look up to your father as to somebody to guide you and to show you like, listen, okay, let me teach you how to drive. Hey, Dad, I'm feeling this girl X Y Z, and you don't have that around you. David, he felt abandoned, and David, they said that that's the reason why David was the way he was, why he was a womanizer. So in order for us to break those traditions or to break those things, we have to face them. When we've been through it, so we don't leak it onto now our generation coming up behind us, which is our sons. Where we explain to our sons like, listen, this is how it's supposed to be, and you try to guide them along that path.
Right.
Because when you think about like your older folks, hurt people. So if they were hurt coming up, guess what? They start hurting you.
Right.
And then Pastor Laurie used to say that a lot of times, like, like the ladies would say, listen, when they have that bitterness in their mouth from the father, they used to say, listen, you're gonna come out worthless like your father.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna be nothing like your
You're gonna
father.
be
You're
nothing,
speaking that over
right.
that kid's life.
Yeah, you pass it.
And then remember you said that last week, like when you start to believe it now, then what you start to do, you could be more than that, but then you start to believe it and you start to walk into it and you start to live it.
Yeah.
Where you become nothing. So, it's for us to at this stage, to understand like we don't have to be, just like you said last week, emancipate yourself from mental slavery.
Yeah.
We don't have to keep ourselves going down that track or keep ourselves in that mindset.
No, that's what she said. I said.
No, you did mention that.
You did mention
You said one of your aunties.
Free me up from mental slavery.
Yeah,
That's different.
same thing.
It's same thing, but
difference.
one's a song, one's just
A quote.
mental state.
But we knew what you was meaning.
Yeah.
But and like you were saying, like, okay, think about this really. If you really told your children, like your children seeing you the way they see you, but they ain't never see that side of you when you was on the other side, they ain't gonna believe that, man. They gonna look at you like you an old dude.
But minister, they have some tendencies in them. They're gonna find themselves with, they call them proclivities, tendencies for one thing or the other. They're gonna be like, why am I the way I am? I told Serena, these are some of the struggles you're gonna have as a girl. Mom, I said, these are some of the struggles you're gonna have.
Like what?
I don't want to say it.
Okay.
It's a mother-daughter thing.
It's a
Oh,
mother-daughter
talk. Okay.
And when I explained it to her, and she goes, "Oh, Mom," she was younger. Yeah. I said, "These are some of the struggles you're gonna have because these are some of the struggles I had before I conquered them, before I had you."
You think she believed it?
She go, "Oh my God!"
As far as she didn't want to hear it coming from.
She didn't want to hear it then, but as she grew older, I said, "Remember I told you, Serena?" "Oh God, yes, Mom. I guess."
Well, my oldest son is the same way. I talk to him about that stuff and be like, "Yo, Dad, I really want to talk about it." I go, "Well, you need to learn. You have to learn."
Why, you think it's embarrassing? Or?
To him, I guess it's embarrassing, but to me, it's not. I'm just trying to make sure that you have an understanding and awareness. Where I never got that.
Well,
I had to figure it out on my own.
Well, you ever seen like maybe like you ever seen like an older couple just like making out in front of you? Like, how does that look?
Like an old couple.
I mean, because even
showing affection or affection or
but
love.
Same thing in my house. Like whenever like me and my wife do something or whatever, like they always talk about or Caleb always cover his face.
That's what I'm saying.
But like even like now, like I walk up to my sons and I hug them and I kiss them.
Yeah,
I never got that growing up, but that's just the stuff I'm trying to break from them. For them to understand like the traditional, so they can understand like, listen, you could be affectionate to your kids, and it doesn't have to be like it's something wrong with it.
Definitely,
it's actually a good thing.
It is.
So.
But I mean, and that's what I'm saying. That idea of doing that and talking about things like that is so foreign.
It is.
They don't want to discuss it, and then we have the younger generation. They're having struggles coming up. And they don't know why they are the way they are. We have these reunions, right? And we eat and drink, but nobody tries to find out why. Why? Why I have a tendency towards lesbianism.
That's true.
Why I have a tendency towards homosexuality. Nobody wants to talk about that, right?
I mean, I don't.
Well,
Well,
I'm not saying we are, but I'm just saying. Why do I have a tendency? Somebody in the family, some door was open, blah 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 blah.
You don't think them kids talk about that stuff like that?
I think amongst themselves they
That's
do.
that's what I'm saying.
But
so that's what I'm trying to say is
they
just
don't want to talk about it to the adults
with an older person.
With an older person, and that's the one thing I want. Somebody told me as a younger somebody I was mentoring, and she would say to me, "Open up to the younger generation. You gotta open up to them, and if when they talk to you, take that shocked look off your face." Because if you
that's a big point.
if you have that shock look on your face, trust me, they're not coming back.
That's true.
So I'll be like, all right. So when Serena said, "Mom, I want to talk to her," I said, "Give me a minute." I go in the bathroom and I go, "Okay, I'm ready.
Jesus, give me the strength
Give me the strength, but I don't want to do that."
to make it through the day.
And then she goes, "Oh, that's the look I never wanted to see on your face. I don't want you to think that you can't trust me." Whew. And it's so when you're ministering to the younger generation, you have to be
open-minded.
You have to be open-minded. You're dealing with the younger. You're gonna hear everything. Struggles that we had that we didn't want to talk about. They're having it full on, and they're gonna want to talk about it, and they're gonna want somebody to talk to.
And they want some feedback.
I feel like if you open that line of communication like on a regular basis, regardless, they may feel a way in the beginning. Because in the beginning, when I was younger, I found it embarrassing when my mom and dad was lovey-dovey. But as I got older, I respect it. I'm like, okay, they still love each other.
It takes maturity to see that.
Yeah, but they didn't just do it once in a while. They
All the time.
They always showed it. So it's like it's normal in the house to see that kind of thing. Like for instance, my mom and dad, they don't talk about family.
They don't talk about family.
So it's like outside of your close brothers and sister, mother and father, I did not know my father's grandma, aunts or uncles.
Okay.
Did not know my mother's aunts or uncles. And it's like it wasn't until certain situations happened that I'm like, oh, okay. Like for instance, my grandmother, yes, she passed away, but I didn't know how impactful she was in a lot of people's life. And it's like certain family members, I used to think I shared certain negative ways with them. I'm like, and I couldn't agree with them. And then it's like only to find out afterwards when they open up a little bit, like, oh, okay, so this is where that came from.
Right.
It was. I don't understand why we have to wait until somebody dies to find out about our family to actually get an understanding of who we are. Because it's like, other than the close brothers and sisters, unless you really go out there to find out your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, they'll just die off, and it's like, okay. Because it's like, before that, my father, he's like, oh, my final aunt passed away. I'm like, he's like, I was really close to her, and she lived in New York. I'm like, Dad, you mean to tell me that you had a family member here in America? Wow. He's like, yeah. And then we just let it go. I'm like,
well, what do you do with it at that point?
She passed away. What else?
Yeah.
Like,
but I think that's kind of what Pastor Laura is saying when we get to these family reunions, or when we get to the, you like, we have to be diligent ourselves as to want to know what's going on.
What's really going on?
And the thing is, the older people, like for instance, when they were growing up, it was probably like they was probably telling their sons and daughter, stay out of grown folks' business. Don't be around here when I'm talking. You guys you ain't got ears for this. Get out of here. But at the same time, there's still stories. I remember I was talking to my grandma one time, and she took me all the way back to when she was young in Jamaica. And she was like, no one ever asked me these questions. And I'm asking her these questions, getting to know these questions, and it took a lot of burden off of her, because she was like, she had all this that she wanted to tell people. But she was like,
you think no one never asked the question, or they were just afraid to ask the question because they know the answers probably wouldn't have been right?
Well, from what she was telling me, no one considered asking her. And she was just like, she wanted to talk about a lot of these things, but she wasn't finna just go open herself up and pour it out to people. And even sometimes, even when she said she got the feeling to open up and tell people, they always like really didn't give that attentive ear that she wanted. So she pulled back. And she was like, because you was asking more questions and you was taking it deeper and you was asking for more. She was like, I got to pour out to you. And I never understood how impactful that was. And it was also with her getting a little bit, she's like 93 now. and she was having health problems at the time. So it was kind of like weighing on her that she had an untold story, an untold book that ain't nobody know. And she opened it up to me, and I was able to absorb some of them pages out that book.
One thing I figured out after the fact, because I'm like, okay, these are the reasons why. Some of them might not want to talk about it because it's kind of embarrassing, or it's a dark area in their life that they don't want to bring up.
Right.
But it's like, I realize, like for instance, with my mom, whenever she bring it up for her family, I always try to sit around because usually it's easier to talk with her nieces about certain situations than it is for me. So it's like I ask questions, but tight-lipped. I'm like, okay.
But you know what I feel like? I feel like if you really want to see the next generation move forward, if you decide that some of the struggles of your family, like how I decide it stops here, draw the line in the sand, and I really want it changes, you have to be transparent.
That's true. You have to be.
You have to open up.
You have to be.
You have to go in the closets and start digging out some stuff. The day that I did, because I couldn't wait. When my daughter was young, I kept saying, I can't wait. I said, Serena, when you get to be 18, there's stuff I'm going to talk to you about. Talk to me about it now. I said, no, you're not ready yet. And I kept saying it over the years. And when she says, okay, mommy, I'm 18 now. I said, wait, because I wanted to see her maturity level. And then I got an opportunity, a teachable moment. I said, come to the bedroom, come, we're going to talk. And I was watching her expression, and little by little, I just open up some stuff. And even till now, my husband would say, oh, you never tell her that. You don't tell her everything. And Serena go, yeah, Mom told me everything. He said everything. She said everything. And it took the weight off me because now I can talk to her. Ruthie laughing. But now I can talk to her as a daughter. Like we can go out and I'd say, Serena, you see back here? You see that? You see this? And she go, Mommy, I'm like you. Because you see how we laugh together? And you see how we do this dance together? And she's like, we have the same stuff like that. I can really talk to her, do the girly thing and do the mother-daughter thing and the young woman thing. Because guess what? When I leave, I'm passing on legacies.
And that's what we're here for.
So my question to you, because I realize that women stick together and stuff like that, and woman power and stuff. Why is it that it's easier for you to talk to your daughter than it is to your son?
Sons are different. They don't talk much. You be talking to them and they go, You be pouring out your heart and it goes, okay.
We just listen different. It's like
they don't say too much. They don't ask questions. They just go.
We're processing everything in our head before we respond.
Because it's like you bring, regardless of the situation, you bring up personal. If it's just mundane conversation, okay, I understand. But you bringing up personal situation, we don't know how to answer certain things because you guys not teaching us the emotional side most of the time.
And
so it's like
that's
so
the point.
if you you raise a kid, you're not teaching him how to be express his emotion, and then by the time he hit 18, 20, and then you're talking about some emotional stuff, you expect him to be emotional.
And that's why a lot of men just don't open up, because when you're young and you fall off your bike, man, get up and go back and ride a bike. Yeah. What you crying for? Shut them tears up. I actually seen someone in my store when the kid was like. That kid couldn't be no more than one little bit years old. And he's like, yo, shut up. Why are you crying? And I'm looking at it like, bro, like, the kid don't even... It's like, think about an animal. Okay, you can give an animal and you can pet him. But the minute you do something wrong, he don't know how to express to you like, bro, I don't like that. And it's the same thing with a child. They can't speak. So they're expressing like, something is bothering me right now. So you can't just tell a child to shut up and stop crying. The animal gonna start lash out or do something. You know, he's gonna either try to jump out your hand or he's gonna try to do something to get himself out of that situation. And the child opening their mouth and then he's like, listen, like shut up. And I'm looking at him like I really wanted to say something. I said, you know what, leave it alone because at the end of the day, it's not my place. But you can't. That's the mentality that like a lot of men have. Like coming up, like brush, wipe it off, or what they say in football, go run it off, go walk it off. Like, bro, my leg could be like have a bone sticking out. No, go walk it off. You're fine.
No, because it's always a forefront thing in your mind. Like you don't want to hear no man complain.
You don't, but
even if
we have emotions too.
No, it's true, and that's why I say it could go both sides with it. Because the point that I'm making is a person could have a valid beef, but imagine if they just sitting there whining your ear off about it. Hey, Minister Hayden, man, you seen that man step on my toe? brother Matt, you seen that, Matt? Man, I don't like when people step on my toe. After a while, you're gonna be like, man, look, either you're gonna do something about it or stop talking about it.
True.
Process the emotion. Process, what you're saying, but you keep on running off. Like, what is you gonna do? Like, and I could understand it coming from a female, but we look at it as it coming from a man. Like, come on, bro.
Is your father in your life is supposed to teach you how to like process just how to figure things out.
Right.
Mother is there to like, how do you process this situation in a proper way? Because knowing how to just do something is good, but it's like knowing how to like effectively do something is better. So it's like your mother, they teaching you how to process certain things emotionally. That's you learning effectively how to handle that emotion. Yes, you still gotta keep moving. That's what your father is teaching you. All right, this problem, yes, it's terrible, but it's like how we get through this. We do this, but there's still that other thing, that small thing that if you don't really take care of it, it could become a larger thing. That's the emotional side of it that your mom helps you process through.
Okay, but let me ask you this.
Fine.
But the men would say this, because I remember with my son's father, there was something going on, and I thought I needed to reach out to my son, and he said, "No, man, there's a boy picnic, man. Stop that.
No, because
stop them foolishness,
and
man. Stop rub him down, man. A boy, man, make him just move on." And what are you gonna do? They've been teaching the boys not to be emotional. Him say, if you're gonna run him down and not pit him up, you're gonna make him soft. Man, not for soft.
And that's real.
I don't know if it's just an island thing or if it's like just a man thing or whatever. Because
I'm sorry to speak in patois, but
I was watching the boxer.
No problem.
I don't remember his name. He was born in Jamaica, and he was winning like a lot of his fights, and his father was like his backbone. And then the one time he got knocked out, he said he remember looking. He see his father turn his back and start to walk away, and he's like, "Bro, like what happened?" So then he remember going into the room, and his father's like fussing, and he's like, "What's going on over there?" He's like, "Yo, your father's mad." And the father like, him should have dead. And I'm like, why would that be your outcome? Because the man lost one fight. Why is it that our outcome that we taught down to our children because something is wrong or something happened?
Yeah,
instead of trying to figure out like listen, son, you lost this one, but that's fine. Come on, let's get up, let's practice.
That's it.
Let's see what happened. Let's go watch some films or something. And it's the same thing. If you think about, if you look at tradition, you have a male figure and a female figure born in the house. They give the son soldiers and trucks and all that, and then you wonder why they pick up a gun when they turn, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. And then you're giving, the girls these Barbie sets and teaching them how to cook and all this stuff. And so you're pretty much training them to take care of a house. You're training a man to like pretty much, say, listen, you got to live behind a gun. You're giving them soldiers and all that, like go join the military. That's what you've grown up seeing. And to me, it's just that time where in the era we just have to like try to change that. Like, if your son falls and he scratches his feet and he's crying, like I said, bro, like it's okay. Just get up and just let's just go back on it. Don't be afraid of it because you fall. It's all right. You can cry. It's okay. But just go back on it. Don't run away from it. They wonder why a lot of men are not in the houses. They run from stuff.
But it's a fine line, right? Between like I be hearing y'all say jellyback or soft.
I got that from American friend, but go ahead, yeah.
I'm just saying, I just be hearing, people say jellyback like a person ain't got no spine or they soft or they can't stand up on their morals or integrity. About men or a man being soft. It's a fine line between you correcting a man, because in this society, I'm gonna put it like this: for a man or a woman, a woman could do the same thing that a man does, and she could be condemned for it, and a man could be praised and honored for it.
Right.
Or a man could go out and have a rough day, especially a man of color, of pigmentation, can have a rough day, and will nobody show him any love.
That's true.
So for me to complain about that, knowing that I'm gonna go out into a world like that, or for me to be soft or jellyback, knowing I'm gonna go out into a world like that, it doesn't do me any good. So I have to get that out of my brain, that anyone gonna feel any kind of way for me.
Right.
Cause so that's part of the mentality. But like you say, another part of the mentality is, even with that being said, I'm able to show my emotions to those who I feel are ready to handle or value the emotions I show them. And I have to be very diligent in who I share those emotions with, because they could turn that on me at any time.
That's true.
And use it as a weapon against me. And that's the fine line that we face. You see what I'm saying? I don't have to be hard, and I don't have to be a stone flint to everybody. I could open up to some people, but I got to be very selective in who I put that stone flint on for and who I take it off for.
That's true, man. And the moment, you know, you kind of show or express your soft side or your emotion side.
You're vulnerable.
You're vulnerable. And then people just look at it like, oh, yeah, look, see, he's soft.
What? And they won't even respect or care about your past.
Exactly.
Who you used to be.
Yeah. And not knowing that that's still sitting inside of us.
Yeah, you don't know. I'm trying so hard.
Trying so hard not to go back.
And that's real. And then some people have no idea, like, you know, like some people that have grown up like a certain way, maybe in tradition for so long, they have no idea of the person they sitting next to or across from. They don't know.
Somebody said trust is an issue with most men.
Trust is an issue with everybody.
I mean, you gotta elaborate on that. I mean,
no, well, I could understand because, man, like, really in truth, with men to let their guard down, they feel like if they vulnerable and they let their guard down, oh, now they got to kill you. Like somebody tell you a secret, you know, I could tell you, but now I got to kill you.
The same thing with women. Women build up these walls that, you know, after being hurt so much or being going through like an emotional roller coaster, that they put these walls up. So then when they finally meet somebody, now this guy got to like knock these walls down, you know, and he finally knocked these walls down, and then the wall comes down, and then now you kind of show a trait or a similarity of something they've been through. Guess what? That wall goes back up fast as you could know what, man.
But you must remember with women, especially women that, you know, they're emotional, and women that have been through hurt.
A man been through her too?
Yeah, but I'm just let's just put a little light now on the women before I hit the men. Okay. Women that's been through hurt and relationships and ended up with children and have to be the mother and the father in the house. They develop a tough exterior because they have to be daddy and mommy. So when another man comes on the scene, it's gonna be hard to break through. Because she has held the post of the mother and the father for years. And now you want to come in here and tell me how to talk to my kids, and they're going to up in your face. You know, they become tough. You're not going to be able to get them to pull down that shield so easy. They have to learn to trust you. Because they're figuring, this dude not going to come up here and do what the other one did.
That's the wrong mindset to have, though.
I know, but because they've been hurt and because the manifestation, the children came and they had to deal with it, they are not going. They couldn't be soft to raise children, be mother and father. They couldn't be soft. Yeah. So when the dude comes in the house or they get married or whoever it is, they're not going to let down their guard like that. They're going to be watching you and sizing you up. And until they get healed, they're going to be looking at you the same way that they looked at the dude before that hurt them. You're going to have to prove yourself. It's unfortunate, but that is really what it is.
But I believe...
Compared to a situation where you didn't have a woman in the, you know, a situation where you didn't have children or somebody that didn't go through hurt, somebody that was innocent, they will treat you differently. And it's the same way with men, right? You're going to find you're in a situation with a woman, and especially if another woman hurt you, you're not just going to go in, hi, honey, kind of thing. There's going to be some kind of guard. There's going to be some kind of trust issue. You know, you're going to have to earn that.
I feel socially, I'm not talking about in a relationship, but just socially, a woman will go to a place in the public and talk to strangers, you know, and just have light conversation. And I feel that men don't really do that. As far as we talking about trust that way, that's what I'm saying. It takes a lot for you to get close to a man, for a man to even be like, you know, hey, we could hang out together, or we could vibe together, or we could do this together. I think women do that more naturally than men do. But as far as when it comes down to if it's in a relationship, it don't matter. Men and women probably like the same way. If, like you say, if I get hurt in a relationship, I'm gonna be just like she is. I'm gonna be watching your phone. I'm gonna be watching your movements.
I don't know about all that, but
I mean, men do. Men do.
If you want to get hurt real quick, go through somebody's phone. That's what I always say.
I don't believe you should.
I'm just saying when
Apostles say men/boys desire to be honored. If you honor them and show respect, you will win them. I mean, I don't agree with that. To be honest with you,
if a woman honors a man,
lot of women out there honor a man and they still don't win them. They still don't have them 100%. That's like a vague statement. That's like saying, okay, me and you in a relationship, you honor me, you're gonna win me when I have 5 more out there. So
but eventually, when you continue to honor, I believe, when you continue to honor the man and show him respect, and don't talk down to him like he's a boy.
But that's the problem with this day and age.
Can you do me a favor?
Where's the respect?
Explain to me what you mean by honor, because it's like.
Well, you're gonna let a man be a man. You're not gonna. Well, see, I don't want to put the women out there.
What about there?
You know,
they've been putting us out there for years, and we got to deal with it.
Let a man be a man.
But they don't let you be a man.
Honor. What do you mean?
Wives must honor their husband.
Okay, sometimes, and I'm just bringing up a scenario. Sometimes in a relationship, in a household, you may have the woman and the man, and maybe the woman is making more than the man. It doesn't mean that because he's making less and he's bringing in less financially that you should talk down to him and feel like he's a boy, or let him know that, okay, I run things up in here, But
at the same time, I don't.
And so you asked me about honor.
Okay.
And respect. You're gonna let him know that even though you know, but you're still gonna give him his place in the house. You're still gonna let him know, okay, but here's what you want us to do. Even though you know you're the one bringing in the bacon.
But my thing is, I don't. Just like what you're saying, yes, you don't make him feel less than, but at the same time, your goal is not to make to make yourself feel to hold yourself back just because he's trying to build his ego.
No, it's a mutual thing. You honor him and he loves you.
Okay.
There's nothing. Let me tell you about a woman. You will get a woman to do anything if you show her love. Women love to feel like they're special. Okay. And when you start pouring on love on her, she'll do just about anything for you.
Okay.
And so it is with a man. A man does not like to be disrespected. Am I right?
No. Well, I think as far as when you talk about honor, I feel like if the man is the head of the house,
he is the head.
If we was to really honor that principle, then regardless if the man was doing wrong or not, well, he gonna have to check himself sometime and be like, boy, even though I was dead wrong, she honored me like the head of the house,
especially in front of the kids.
And he gonna have to look at her different, even if he was dead wrong. He gonna have to change his ways, even if he was dead wrong.
Well, some issues are some situations I don't know, bro.
Some men won't because they have no honor themselves. So how can they honor anything? See, that's a command from God. So if you can't honor that, then you can't honor God. And if you can't honor God, how can you show anybody else any honor? So it has to lie within that first.
I think a woman can bring out the best in a man.
Some women.
If you bring God in the relationship,
the right woman.
If you bring God in the relationship, and you listen to God, I think the situation can change considerably.
But what if you're listening to God, but then the man don't want to change?
Look, the thing is,
because I think a woman might say, okay, I'm listening to God, I'm talking to this man, but this man ain't gonna change overnight.
No, it's not an overnight thing. Nothing is an overnight thing.
My thing is, as long as she working on herself first before she try to work on another project, kudos.
What?
You don't get it? All right, so I'd rather her first deal with her issues before she come and try to fix mine, because I'm going to point out your issues if you keep on trying to change me. I'm going to beat at it because it's like, why are you trying to change me when you still got this mess that you just got locked up? You're not even trying to clean out the closet.
No, I don't think that's what I meant by saying that. I just think that when you're dealing with, in a relationship, you're pouring love. Everything has to come from a place of love.
Definitely.
And when you're pouring in love, love doesn't point out what you're doing wrong. And love doesn't point that, oh, you're not this. Love is love. So you're doing it from a place of love and you're pouring into that vessel. Eventually, there's going to be a change.
The reason why I said what I said is because it's like because I guess a lot of people misconstrue the working on a man, you can make him better thing. Because it's like most of the times they're trying to fix, they view their boyfriend, their husband, or potential whatever situationship, entanglements as as things that they could a project that they could work on. It's like, for instance, how there's some women, even men, they're wonderful at their job, but in their home life they're terrible.
Yeah,
so that's what
right.
I'm saying is, how can you think about trying to get in a relationship with somebody and try to fix them because you're seeing their flaws when you're not actually trying to work on your own personal baggage that you have? I'd rather you deal with your thing, or at least working towards it, before you even think about trying to fix my issue.
But why does it even matter if at the end of the day we coming together and maybe
come and win?
And maybe I have a problem. Maybe I have a problem. You know what I'm saying? Smoking cigarettes or something, or smoking weed or something. And I'm sitting there telling you, hey, you know, baby girl, you got to stop shopping so much. And if you do that, it'll help out the house a whole lot more. And you be like, oh, you spending money on cigarettes. How is that helping anything get better?
That's what I'm trying to get at. It's like, because a lot of people, they don't know how to deal with love. Deal with a situation in a loving thing. They're more accusing, and
but
that's
you know something also is that a lot of women, they'll say they want to fix a man, but they don't even know what the problem with the man is. It's just whatever they see or what they view the problem is. I mean, it could be something more deeper than that.
Just leave it to God.
You understand what I'm saying? So
I do. Yeah. But I feel like I shouldn't be trying to go around trying to fix the woman, or the woman shouldn't be trying to go around and fix me. We should be trying to fix the house.
Fix the house or fix each other together.
Well, even the reason why I don't want to say fix each other is because if we focus on the house, the household. I ain't talking about the physical house. I'm talking about the household.
Yeah.
Everything else gonna have to just bing, 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 and line up and get into alignment.
It's like when I remember when I was younger, I was going to this church called Bethel. There's this lady. Well, when we first saw it, we didn't even know if it was a guy or a girl, right? They came. The person came into the church, and then it's like they got the same day they got filled with the Holy Ghost, and then in the night got baptized, and then a few weeks later they came in the church and a completely different person. So it's like, it's not that we are telling her to change. Just like what you said, it's like, as long as you work on the home, everything else will work out. Everything she cleaned out her mess, got herself saved and everything, and then it's like afterwards, God just work on everything else little by little. I don't feel like you need to target that thing.
A lot of us is literally, it's like we'll say, Lord, I know I have this issue. I know I have this. I'm turning over to you, right? But we still walking with it.
We don't turn it over.
That's the thing. Until you have the mindset and the willingness to actually turn it over and give it to the Lord, then you will see the difference, and then you become a difference. I mean, I can only speak about me, you know. And when I first started KBI, it's not the same person you're looking at today.
Nah. Yeah.
You know, because when I came in here, you said 2 words to me. I was like, bro, who you talking to? Like, you got the wrong one. Yeah. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I don't roll with y'all like that. First of all, I don't trust none of y'all.
So how are you now? How comes you have changed? What has caused the change?
Okay. So, you know, I'll just be like, you know, I don't roll like that. Like, you know, and I'm gonna be transparent. Me and Pastor Laura had issues. And, you know, you had to get yourself in a mindset, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I went to counseling. I went to some serious counseling. Nobody knew, and I said it before, not even my wife knew. I had issues in my marriage, I had issues in my home, I had issues just with me. And it was because I was hurt on the inside, and the only way I could like deal with my hurt is just to show like, listen, don't mess with me. I would literally like twist you up in a heartbeat.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, and that was coming from some deep internal hurt. Yeah. And I had to go figure that out on my own. Was God involved? Of course. But I also had to get second opinions. I'm not gonna sit here and listen to my wife tell me that I'm doing this. I'm like, okay, so what? I ain't trying to hear what you say. You're just telling me whatever it is. Now, when you get a second opinion and it lines up with what your person or somebody else is saying, then you have to look within yourself and say, listen, I really have some serious issues. And it had to take a mindset. I had to use my mind and renew and rethink my mind. So it's like pretty much I had to get a blank sheet of paper and start over.
And you know what, that counselor was able to sit there and see someone on the outside. They were able to see the foundation and the structure of the house.
Exactly.
Not just your problems and your wife's problems.
But not only that, they were also able to not look on just the outside and judge you by what the outside part of you, but they were able to connect on what's inside of you. And that's pretty much what God does. You know, God said, listen, I don't care about your outside. I don't care about your exterior. I care about your heart. And a lot of men out there, you know, they have good heart, they have good intention, but they just have some deep rooted issues.
Definitely.
And until we deal with it and we understand it, you know, we're gonna still walk around being mad. We're gonna still every little thing affects us. You know, we're ready to lash out and ready to feel like, listen, this is how I defend the honor. You know, something happened at my job the other day, and I looked at it and I sat back and I processed it. You know, because this lady came in the store and she was taking pictures of another associate. And I confronted her. I said, listen, we can't do that. You're not supposed to do that. You know, and, you know, I pretty much told the lady, listen, I'm going to have to ask you need to leave the store because you cannot come inside of the store and take a picture. She's like, why? I can do whatever I want. It's my phone. I said, I do understand it's your phone. I do understand you pay your bill. I do understand all of that. But the fact that you come inside of a establishment that's private and you take a picture or a video of someone, I don't know if you're sending 5 people up here to come beat her later up in the parking lot. So I'm going to protect my associate inside the store. So I'm going to ask you politely to leave. And not only I'm going to ask you to leave, I'm also going to call the cops and record it just in case something happened. They have a background like this happening. It took place, and I'm going to take your video off our CCTV, which we're allowed to do, and give it to them. Now the ladies them at the counter, you know what they said? That's why they love and respect me, because I have that figure where I can I protect them. Yeah. So women do look for men to protect them, but it's how you do it. You know, it's how you go by protecting them. You know, it's how you go by loving them. It's how you go by showing affection. You know, it's how you go by showing your emotions. And they do respect it, but it starts from within us. It starts from getting rid of the hurt and the past and dealing with the stuff that we went through and stuff we heard and the stuff that pretty much is spoken over our life, just like you always said. You know, you're going to be worthless like your father. Who want to hear that? You know, who wants to hear that? Who wants to hear rejection like that coming from, you know, your mom that pushed you out, you know, whoever said, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Somebody that gave birth to you, you're going to look at me in the same limelight and tell me I'm going to be worthless to my father?
Yeah, that came from something that wasn't resolved.
Exactly.
And because it wasn't resolved, she's walking with that hurt.
And then now you're walking with it.
Now she keeps looking at you and like, you're just going to be no good just like your daddy.
And it's just going to be infestation
and the
that
child
just keep
keeps hearing that and then process that, and you know how that goes.
And I think there's like, even with us, like even for someone to sit and be like, Mom, what you mean I'm gonna be worthless just like my dad? Like, it's not in us to even be subtle and find out why are you saying that, to even, you know, and it might be because of our immaturity, or man, you made me mad, I don't even want to talk to you. But I feel like that's what a lot of people sometimes do to us, man. They try and get us like angry and mad so that we just get a certain way. It's like, you ever heard someone say you beat me being mad? Like someone did something and they know they was wrong for doing, and they gonna make it seem like you was the one doing wrong so that they wrong don't get exposed.
That's only what women do.
But listen, in relationships, I saw a comment here and I'm remembering, in relationships, when you have God in the relationship, as you should, because marriage is instituted by God, God works on the two people to become one. So it's not I'm pointing out your flaws and you pointing out my flaws.
Can never be.
The thing with a lot of relationships is that we don't have a lot of communication. And communication to me solves all problems. They just make everything just like flows and make everything just works out wonderful. If we don't communicate, the thing is that you meet someone, you know, you're attracted to them, and you don't ask questions.
No.
You know, you just fall for the person, and you fall for
You're afraid to ask questions because you don't want to hear the answer.
I don't think you're afraid to ask questions.
You
just don't ask questions. Now, when you're in a relationship and you're 5-6 years in, now you're asking all these questions, but you should have asked from the beginning.
You saw little traits,
yeah,
but you didn't want to deal with them. You didn't want to ask about them because it may turn you off. So you said, "Boy, I love this one too much. This one is fine. Let me work it."
You know, me and my wife was talking the other day, and I said, you know, the best thing you ever did, you know, for me to actually like, you know, change and to actually want a willing mindset to change was the fact that you sat there and you spoke to me, and not only spoke to me, you showed me like what I did that affected you and hurt you.
And that's good.
And that's what a lot of people don't do.
Some people you can't do that with.
But that's what we should try. That's the approach we should try to do, because
some people get defensive.
They get defensive and they want to lash back, and then now it becomes an argument.
Back and forth.
Yeah. So then now you have an argument. Guess what? Argument don't resolve nothing.
No, it doesn't.
But when the person take a step back now and say, listen, you know you did like X, Y, Z, you know you, and it really affected me. You know, it really bothers me. You know, and then if a man is willing to change and not use that as like a vulnerable thing, which is something I'm just going to get up and do every day, then you start to see a difference.
Yes.
You know, and back to what I was saying, it's like, you know, when I first started, you know, that was me. That's the person who I was. You know, just this hard, you know, to me, I used to tell people I don't have a heart. You know, I have an icebox there. You know, I just never care. I just never care of anything. And there's a lot of stuff that happened. You know, I remember when, like, Pastor Laura, like, you know, in regards to the office, and I'm sitting there, like, the whole time she's talking, I'm like, I don't care about no office. Y'all can have it. Like, I didn't really, like, we were talking about, like back then I just became deacon and all that, and you're, like, in respect to the office and all that. And in my mind, even though I'm coming up in the church, I still had that mentality, like, who cares about the office? You can have it. Like, I could roll back to the streets right now. I'm good. You know what I mean? So, you know, when you're young, you know, coming up and you're in a ministry or whatever it is, and you don't understand a lot of things, you know, your mind is not, it's just like all of us could be in one room. We could have one conversation, one topic, but not everybody's in the same mindset. Not everybody's on the same conversation.
That's right.
So you might be looking at everything like, okay, the office is this, office is that. And I'm looking at you like, you can have it. Like, I don't care about it.
The office don't mean anything.
And we weren't talking about a physical office. We're talking about the office of, like, it wasn't really a physical.
So, you know, it took a lot of, you know, a self-growth, a lot of, you know,
maturity.
Maturity was one of the things, you know, just like Paul said, when I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things. And when you start to grow and you start to mature, you start to change. And if you're not changing, it's just, you just have a mindset and the willing to change. And, you know, it's a lot of things where, you know, like, I would see a lot of things, or like a vision a lot of things, I dream a lot of things. And then, you know, Pastor Laura would say it, like, I'm sitting there like, she just said that? And I'm like, bro, I just dreamed that the other night. So I wasn't even like paying attention to it then until that one time, like I tell you all the time, and I always go back to that story when you said, listen, I saw you in white and you said this fits. And it was like 2 days prior, I had that same dream, and I'm looking at the dream, like never understood like what that dream meant or nothing like that. And then I was like, the Lord has said, like, listen, now you've done your part. Now it's time for you to come out from behind the scenes and start to do what I want you to do and start to do what I'm calling you to do. And, you know, it takes a lot of growth. It takes a lot of believing in yourself and as an individual, you know, to do a lot of things and to step into a lot of new, especially something new that you never have done. You know, it takes a lot from that's within you, you know, that has to develop, that has to grow, you know, to get you to that mindset, to get you to the place to where God wants you to be. You know, I can't run Minister Amon race. I can't run Brother Matthew. I can't run Pastor Laura race, but I can run my race.
That's correct.
Because I want to stay in my lane and do what the Lord wants me to do. And when it comes to tradition and stuff, for us to break that tradition, you know, we have to run our race. We can't run our parents' race. We can't run our ancestors' race. Because that's what a lot of us is doing. It's just messing us up. And we're just taking that down and we just keep beating on our kids that's coming up. So now they're like looking at like, bro, my dad don't love me. Or, you know, my mom don't love me. Because you remember, I don't know if you ever saw that movie Fence with Denzel Washington. No. And the kid was like, he said that Denzel Washington was his father. He's like, why you don't love me, man? He's like, bro, do you eat every night? Do you have a roof over your head?
Yeah.
And that's what a father think is love.
Yeah,
you know, just spending money but not showing no emotion, not spending time with them. Yeah. You know, so, you know, we have to, you know, really sit back and look at everything and just, you know, just understand, like, you know, communicating with your kids, communicating with your spouse, you know, and opening up. And, you know what I mean? Like, at this point in time in my life, I'm going to be honest, you know, I'm not afraid to show people who I am. I'm afraid to show people who I've become. And you can't use it against me. Because I'm at that stage right now where you try to use it against me, I'm going to look at you and just laugh, because I know that's the enemy trying to get back to me, or trying to bring me back into that place and bring me back in that mindset. And you have to have that mindset where you say, I refuse to let it happen. You know, you refuse to go back. You know, I believe that the majority of the stuff that we've been through in life and we face in life is what make us to who we are today.
It is.
It's either going to make you a better person, or it's going to make you to, you're just going to be stuck in that mindset. You know, I read the story one time where, you know, two kids came out of the same home. One came out successful, the other one came out, you know, like pretty much nothing. And they was talking to they were having a conversation, interviewing the one that was successful. And they're like, listen, what happened? Like, how you did it? What happened? How you came out of a broken home like that and you made it? He said, listen, my father drank a lot. And I didn't want to become that.
He was there for motivation.
So he used his father's negative and he used it to positive his life. Whereas other brothers like, listen, they're like, what happened to your brother? He's like, my father drank a lot.
Yeah.
And he took on that part.
Yep.
You know, so it all depends. God gave us a brain for a reason, and it's for us to use it and understand we don't have to be what people try to make us to be.
And you know, God wants everybody to develop and grow. God doesn't want us to stay where we are. So he gives us opportunities. Yeah. And I never saw him calling me in the ministry was an opportunity to grow and to deal with some stuff that I didn't want to deal with. It's because all of us have stuff.
Yeah.
We all do.
But when he calls you into ministry or he calls you to do something, he already knows that you're going to have to deal with some underlying stuff that you didn't want to deal with before. And this is his way of taking stuff out to you. This is his way of him exposing things so you can grow and develop. And a lot of times we don't want to step forward. I didn't want to step forward. I wanted to hide. I sat down and I reasoned with the Lord, why does it have to be like this? Can't we do it another way? And he said, no, I wanted to do it this way. And I went in and I did it his way. And just like I thought, I got knocked down. Why? Because there was stuff in me that I didn't want to deal with. And and as it kept coming up, the Lord said, don't worry. And I spent all the time at the altar crying, bawling, Lord, you got to help me. Lord, you got to get me past this. Lord, I'm not going to make it. And sure enough, as he kept telling me, you stay in that word, stay in that word. And it strengthened me, and it brought, because the more I stayed in the word, the more things got exposed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Your real self. Yeah.
But when I did, eventually, he took me through purifying.
Yeah.
Purification.
Yeah, that's a rough
it was
stage.
a hard stage.
That's a rough stage.
It was a nasty stage. It was a stage I don't want to deal with. But look at the results. And so I know now that having to deal with anybody out there, they have to go through this inner healing. Absolutely. They have to go through stuff they don't want to touch. But they have to. Because how's the Lord going to pour in them when they're already filled with stuff?
You know something that was funny? It's like, I was married at this point, I'd say when I was 6 or 7 years. I opened up more to a counselor than I ever did to my wife.
Yeah.
And that's like weird.
Because you don't want her to see your disappointment. You don't want her to be disappointed.
Yeah, you're right. Not only disappointment, you don't want that to be used also against
you.
Yeah. And you know that this person, once you tell them X, Y, Z, they're not going to use it against you. They're going to pretty much use that to help you move forward.
Yeah. That's a third
And, it's also another thing, like, I told, like, the Lord a lot of things, and I was like, I remember the Lord is like, listen, like, bro, I got you. You just keep doing what you're doing. Keep progressing. And that's why I always tell people, like, it's not about being perfect to me. It's no perfect being but Jesus that was on this earth. But I just try to progress every day and put one foot in front of the other. Because the more I progress, the more it's leading me to perfection. That's why the Bible says, if you're holy, be holy. If you're filthy, be filthy.
Yeah.
So it's up to you which one you want to choose. You want to be holy, be holy. And holiness to me is not long dresses or three-piece suit or nothing like that. No. Because a lot of people could dress up on the outside and the inside is filthy.
Yeah.
But holiness is, to me, it's a lifestyle. It's a walk with Christ. It's an intimate relationship with Christ.
That's it.
And like I tell, I was telling somebody the other day, I said, listen, the reason why I love to worship is because I understand what it means to be broken. I understand what it means like to reach a place where you're rock bottom, where you're about to lose everything.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And that drives me a lot into worship, and that drives me into a lot to where, I don't want to go back to that place. I don't want to go back to, the old Dwayne. I don't want to go back to that place where you're so bitter. The Red Sea
is already closed behind us.
Exactly. I don't want to go back to that place where you're so bitter, where you
ain't no going back.
You just end up losing everything.
Yeah.
And who wants to lose anything?
Yeah.
Who wants to lose that anything? Who wants to lose that life? The Lord said, listen, I died so you can have life and have it more abundantly. He don't want us to die, and just die in the filth and dying to be in disgust with ourselves. And that's what drives people into depression and turn them into being suicidal.
Yeah, it can. I was telling somebody, like, for instance, if we was to look at our life, like Apostle Paul mentions it, we are living letters or epistles. And what we've done in the past is written down, recorded. I don't care how mean we were to people. I don't care how nasty we were. It was written down, recorded.
Of course.
And we will be judged for it. But the point I'm trying to make now, we can overshadow our past with so much good.
So much good, yeah.
And if we are smart and diligent, and if we do it with in the Lord, we can redeem the time that we have left. And we can overshadow everything that we did in the past.
All did it.
It's the same as like when Joseph, he named one of his sons Manasseh, means forget all his trouble. And the other one, Ephraim,
Right.
double portion of everything.
Yeah.
So we should be trying to redeem double portion right now. So that as soon as the Lord judges us for our past, our present will be much more glorious than our past.
I'm curious about something.
That's it.
I respect how you say you got your inner healing through your counseling sessions and stuff like that. But what is effective communication? Because I saw someone, Nikki, she was talking about how effective communication help, blah, 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 the family. But my thing is...
Effective communication
effective
is the key.
A big word.
Assumption causes disagreement and division.
The part that I'm trying to understand, because we all know what communication is, but it's like I see in certain families they communicate through arguing.
Yeah.
It's like they get everything out.
Yeah.
It's like we're not leaving here until we get everything out.
Yeah.
But what do you because it's like there may be some yelling, but they effectively get their point across, and then certain people are like, oh, we don't argue.
I think
that's because they may seem as if they're okay on the outside, but internally we don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out, from my better understanding, because I don't communicate that well sometimes. What is effective communication?
Effective communication is where people don't have to guess what you're going to do or guess what you're doing next.
What's the fun of that?
So, what do you mean what's the fun in that?
No,
it's the fun is so that everybody's on the same page. All right, if everyone's on the same page, everyone knows what's going on, then you won't have misunderstandings, you won't have disagreement, where it's like, I'm going left and you're going right. It's like, think about an army. They march together. They march on one accord. So for them to march on one accord, there has to be a clear expectation of what has to be done and what has to be going on.
Okay.
So if you don't have effective communication and say, listen, this is the goal ahead of us and this is what we're trying to do, even in a relationship, if you communicate like, listen, all right, I'm leaving work. I'm about to stop by Minister Amon and then, I'm going to head home. So that's communicating.
Yeah.
So they call like, okay, what's going on? Where you at? Oh, I'm by Donovan. Oh, why didn't you tell me that you're going to buy Donovan? It eliminates that in-between. It eliminates that negative energy that's going to come next. And then you're going to be like, so now Donovan looking at you, you're on the phone, and then you're going to be like, oh, now she's trying me in front of my homeboy. So now you want to defend yourself. If you had just communicated from the beginning, like, listen, I'm leaving work, I'm going to stop by Minister Amon, and I'm going to wrap it up with him a little bit, and then I'm going to be on my way home. It kind of eliminates that disagreement, eliminates that negative energy and negative air in between. So when you don't communicate, you don't have effective communication, and it's not clear, and people don't understand what you're doing, then it just becomes a jumble. It just becomes like none void.
I mean, it's a lot to it, because even in the fact, like, say for instance, like the wife was like, where you at and what you doing, and I ain't communicate with her. And then, she was asking, and I'm not even worrying about why she asking, because I already told her I was going to be out, whatever. But she's trying to get food for the house, and she ain't gonna be able to make food for the house, and she want me to bring some food for the house. So she ain't really checking on me or trying, but she trying to communicate with me.
That too.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So the point being is, as long as the house gets taken care of, that's why I mentioned it doesn't matter what problem I have with you, what problem, because all of us got problems. But as long as the house is taken care of, at the end result, to me, that's effective. That's effectual.
All right. So
1 minute. Okay. You said something. Now, communication is two. You need two parties: the person that's speaking and the one that's receiving. You had this game back in the day, Chinese telephone. I whisper this and
yeah.
And at the end, the thing that I say to the next person and the next person, when the last person opens up to say exactly what they thought I said through the other parties, it's always distorted.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that what you're saying is clear enough that the person that's receiving it will understand.
Yeah, understanding.
They have to have an understanding what's in. You have an image in your mind. And that's what, I know you don't like to bring up Bible like that, but I'm going to say, the children of Israel they were on their way to the promise, but they didn't have a clear understanding of what it is. Oh, I hear it's a 3-day journey or 11-day journey. They didn't have an understanding like what was going to happen. Oh, I'm going to be in the promise. I'm tired of Egypt. I'm going to the promise. They didn't know that there was going to be a stopover, the wilderness, where they're going to be tried. When you are speaking to someone, you want to effectively communicate to them what it is. Give them the picture, the image you have in your head. You want to make a clear picture that they will understand what it is. And even with communication, and I'm bringing up this one thing, and then and this morning the Lord was speaking to me, and I was looking in the book of, I think it was Genesis, when Abraham said to the Lord, how do I understand this? Because traditionally, Eliezer of Damascus is the heir. Traditionally, when somebody don't have any children, he is the heir of my estate. And the Lord said, no, he's not going to be your heir. That's right. And then Abraham said to God, how do I know this? I can't wrap my mind around it. And then it talks about going off to sleep, Lord putting him to sleep. He was sleeping. And then there was a horror of darkness. And the Lord told him to cut up some animals, and lay them, beside each other. And not to cut up the doves, the pigeons, the birds. And that night, there was the fire. There was the torch. And it went between the pieces. It's showing you that some things has to be processed. So he could not understand how you're going to tell me Eliezer is not going to inherit my estate, but I am going to produce an heir. I can't get around it. I'm old and all of that. And it took them all these many years for the seed to go into Egypt and go through slavery and depression and oppression and affliction, them coming out in the wilderness. And then he said, this is how you shall know.
That's right. Okay.
So
he talks to the seed afterward. I'm bringing you into the knowledge of it. Abraham couldn't understand it. You had to go through a process, but here you are now, understanding why I had to take you here to bring you into that knowledge that he couldn't receive, but now you can see. Some things you will hear, you'll not understand, but you'll have to go through a process before the understanding of it and the enlightenment, or until you can walk in that enlightenment.
But isn't that called faith?
It is a faith walk.
So,
some things you can't see unless you walk it out. And I didn't mean to go so deep into all of that, but I just thought I would just put it in. Yeah.
My thing is, I had a friend, it's still a decent friend of mine. Him and his wife, they're always talking, checking up on each other, making sure everything's good, even arguing to the point make sure they're clear the air and everything. But they know where every move that each other tends to make. But it's like he still do his thing on the side, and if you catch what I mean by do his thing, right? Yeah, so he does his thing on the side, but still he comes home, everything. But at the end of the day, even though they're doing effective communication, they still couldn't agree on certain things and still separate. So I'm trying to figure out where in the communication did they slip, because it's like they're doing what you just mentioned. Hey, I'm gonna be at my friend's house drinking whatever, hanging out with the boys or whatever. Oh, I'm with the girls. We doing this. Crazy stuff at work. Blah blah blah. Oh, and then it's like not only that, but they make sure that they take care of the situation at home, making sure the kids are doing well in school, all this other stuff. But it's like at the end of the day, they couldn't mesh, and they end up separating. But it's like
I don't think that's effective.
But
he was doing something else on the side too, right?
Yeah, he said he was doing something on the side.
Oh, he didn't communicate that part, right?
Why he tell her that part?
That's not my business.
So you just answered the question.
It's
it wasn't effective communication.
I'm trying to figure out like
it didn't come into one. It didn't come into one with the increase of the covenant.
If you're gonna communicate everything. Remember that video you sent me that time? When you tell me when the guy was sitting on the chair and he was telling the girl, like, listen, like the way our relationship going now, you make me feel like I want to go cheat on you. Yeah, so think about it like that. Well, it's been awesome. It's been real.
It's done.
Man.
Oh.
Minister Mon, final thought.
To break tradition, and I feel like we have to understand, there's a scripture I love, 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Prove all things and hold on fast that which is good. And it lets me know, the Holy Spirit, you prove it by the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is gonna let you know what traditions to hold on to, what traditions to break.
That's right.
And I believe then once we understand, once we hear, then we could do our pursuing, our overtaking, and our recovering all. So yeah, I believe.
Brother Matthew.
It's crazy out here. But guess what? We're still blessed.
Definitely.
My final words.
Pastor Laura.
What's the question?
Final thought.
Tradition. In order to move forward, you have to be willing to let go some old things. What are you laughing?
That's a comment.
You have to let go. You have to be willing to let go some old things and give room for new things. For you to let go, to get rid of the past, the old traditional things, and to move forward. Let go of some old and get ready for some new, right? Brother Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it? All
That's
right.
wonderful.
That was the definition
Short,
right
sweet,
there. Tradition was just, generation upon generation, getting rid of it. They said your boys living like roommates, which is true.
Yeah. They no longer roommates.
Now they're mates, no room.
Nah, they just.
Well, my final thought is, transparency, to me is a key thing. If you get yourself to that place where you could be transparent and know that if somebody, throws it back in your face, it won't affect you or won't make you feel belittled, then go ahead and do it. Be transparent. My brother, me and him was talking the other day, and he goes, he curse a lot. And I'd be like, I said, bro, I asked him, like, seriously, I said, like, why, like, every other word is just like a curse word? He goes, bro, that's how I
communicate.
Yeah, that's how I communicate. He's like, that's how that's pretty much his emotion.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm spitting out my emotions to you right now. And I'm like, but it don't sound like emotion. It just sounds like a bunch of jumbled words. And he's like, bro, you a P. And I'm like, I appreciate that. Thank you. But that still don't make, you're still not explaining it to me. And he's like, well, that's how he communicates.
Yeah.
So I have to understand, like, that's how my brother communicates when he talks. When he's going through his stuff, that's his communication pattern. He's just gonna curse and fuss.
Yeah.
And I noticed it's the same thing with my father. When my father's going through his thing and he's communicating, it's the same way.
Yeah.
Every other word.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite of that.
It's at a different table.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Nice.
it's a lot of stuff that's embedded in my, my generation.
Were you ever like that?
I can't say I was.
Okay, that's good.
Like, you'd have to, like, really get me to, like, if I curse, it's something that's coming behind that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was more of a doer. I didn't talk that much.
Okay.
I just got quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it just showed me that there's a lot of stuff that's embedded, in my background, that I'm breaking the tradition. I'm just not following. I'm not going through it. It's one that I'm really working on. That
I'm gonna be honest though. I'd rather you talk than be quiet.
Yeah. Okay. But there's one that I'm really working on that, I'm praying to the Lord that, one day I will overcome that and just continue to move forward and just continue to break tradition, because I don't want, what, I went through or the stuff that, I faced, my sons come up and see that and my sons go through that, so I have to be the difference. I have to be the difference maker. And my mom always tell me, it's like she remember, when she said, because she always tell me, like, listen, man, I'm proud of you. I remember when he said, you're not going to be nothing like your father. He's going to be different. That's the reason why God gave us a brain. He doesn't want us to follow anybody or follow anybody's footsteps. But he wants us to run our own race and do our own thing. So understand that you have a mindset of your own. You have a brain of your own. God gave you it for a reason. And it's not for you to follow any tradition or follow anything that anyone has done. You could break tradition by doing something totally different, completely different, and just living outside the box. Tradition holds you inside of a box and keep it there and keep you planted there. But for you to uproot it and dig yourself out of that box, stay out of that box, and just do what your mind's telling you to do and do what makes you happy and what makes you free. Man, it's been awesome. It's been real. Don't forget to hop over to our YouTube page. It's Just a Conversation. Don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate everyone that tuned in. Appreciate all the comments. Everyone that's on. Sister Nikki, brother. Oh, Apostle Martin. Sister Verone, appreciate you. So appreciate everyone that tuned in, everyone that's on. So until next week, it's been awesome. It's been real. It's Just a Conversation where we say hashtag talk about it.